Give me a clap by your. Yep, perfect.
Okay.
Okay. Um, all right, so let's start again.
Okay.
Can you tell me who Ben was?
Ben was next door neighbor, lives on the other side of the garden over there, and he needed he needed someone to take care of his wife. When we moved in here, that's what I did. Um, she had a stroke and wasn't expected to live more than 6 months, but she lived 18 years, and the doctor said it was from great care. Because of that, her ashes are underneath that lace leaf maple over there, because she always said she wanted to be in my garden. And I didn't think my garden was that pretty, so I started cleaning it up. It's now become a memorial garden, and when Ben passed, was getting older, knew he was probably going to pass away, he said he always wanted to be at home, he didn't want to be in a nursing home, and that he wanted his ashes next to hers. So I began taking care of him, myself, the family. He became more like family than friends because we had a 40-year friendship that was going on. And as he started aging, he began to take so many different kinds of medications. I was concerned for his health. 17 different pills a day for somebody that's almost 80 years old. It really bothered me. I tried really hard to find one medication that could take over a couple of others. I worked with his doctors, I worked with the pharmacists and things like that. But there was always this pain in his hands from being a machinist that he couldn't handle anything, couldn't do anything. And then his hip. And he couldn't hardly walk out here anymore in the garden. He spent a lot of time out here with me. And I was always searching for something that would take care of that. People told me about CBD and the CBD oils. He was even open to more than that, but I wasn't excited about giving marijuana to somebody that was nearly 80 years old, and continued to look for those things. Unfortunately, in 2016, he passed away, still without me ever finding something for him. But since then, I have discovered the CBD from the hemp plant, not the marijuana, without the THC in it, and I have been amazed at the people I've been able to share this with and help, myself included. I dislocated my thumb boxing, stupid move, my thumb out instead of tucked in, and so it became chronically painful. I tried it the first time and it was instant results for me. I know with other people sometimes the creams take 20 minutes, sometimes it takes a couple times to try it, but for me it was instant. And so I started seeing some things in people that I felt like the CBD could start working for, in place of some of the medications with the horrible side effects that they have. I saw for years I had acid reflux, and I was taking the products myself, over-the-counter products. But there was side effects as long as my arm that I hadn't realized at first. When I started researching it more, I decided maybe this wasn't a good idea for me. I tried changing my lifestyle, changing my food, things like that. It wasn't until someone convinced me to try a CBD, oral CBDs, that the problem took care of itself. And along the way, I discovered that my dry eye problem had been from the products I was taking to cut the acid. And the other thing too is that being the age that I am, I wasn't sleeping great at night. It was interrupted sleep, and it took me a long time to fall asleep. But once I started taking the CBD oral products, I fall asleep within 20 minutes, which is, hurrah, singing praises. My husband loves it. The fact the TV's not on for 2.5 hours or anything like that. And I'm sleeping about 6.5 to 7 hours straight through without having any difficulty staying asleep. So for me, I decided I needed to go find more research, more information to see if this was something that wouldn't counteract other medications people were taking, that they could work with the health that they had already and maybe enhance their health. So I found a doctor that's gathered 4,000 doctors, and they are on the cutting edge of moving CBD into using it for their clients and getting them out of pain. They've used it for cancer, they've used it for anxiety, PTSD. The list goes on and on and on. So for me, I felt like this was the wonder drug that they found in the 20s when they found penicillin, and that this CBD was going to be this century's exciting new medications. That's what got me started in this. And then I started on my family, which they were all open to doing. I started with my 15-year-old lab, who for 2.5 years I had to lift her behind up the steps to our front door because she just could not maneuver the steps herself. After giving her CBD in the doggy treats for 3 days, she now goes up those steps on her own, which shocked us. She also is climbing on the couch now, which she didn't ever do. My husband and I were standing there, we watched her do it, and we thought, well, maybe we should be eating these doggy treats. I'm joking though. But we saw the benefits of CBD and started trying them ourselves. Next thing I knew that this doctor had all these case studies, and I started branching out into it. So that's how I got started with the CBD. I see people who have been on diabetic medication lower their blood sugar levels with it. I've seen people with extreme anxiety just plain calm down. It's just been, like I said, amazing to see the results of what it can do for some people, especially menopause. That's not a fun one. Hot flashes and they're not sleeping at night, and it just seems to, with all the women that I know that are taking it, calm everything down.
What would you say to somebody who is concerned that they would be doing drugs, like doing marijuana in prison? Like, what would you say to them?
Well, one of the things that I try to educate people about is that there are two different plants. There's the hemp plant and there's the marijuana plant. Now, I know they're cousins of one another, but they really are two different plants. Marijuana plant has an abundance of THC in it, and hemp does not. There's a little bit in it, but they shake it off, and it is way below the chart. So one of the things I did when I first started taking the CBD is that I took it orally for a long period of time, and then I drug tested myself, because I'm worried about that for clients as well. I don't want them to have a job that they lose because they pop hot on a test. So I did that consistently. And then I had other people too that had access to the actual clinics that where they take the test, and they tested themselves. And to date, for me, nobody has ever popped hot on it on a test. And part of the reason is that most marijuana comes in can be anywhere from 4 to 50 milligrams in it, where ours is 0.0004. So that's not even detectable in the body, and it washes out of the body in a couple of hours, whatever little bit there might be in there. Really what happens with CBD, in my understanding with it, is that our bodies already have endocannabinoids in them, which is what transports nutrients back and forth at the cell level, okay? Because of lifestyles and stresses and things like that, the cell levels close up tight. So we've got all these nutrients and all these good things we're trying to do with our body, and they can't get in on the cell level. What CBD does, which is the cannabinoids in plants, is it opens up that cell level. So if you're working hard to have a really good meals, good lifestyle, low stress, good sleeping, that transferring of those nutrients actually happens, which is why it's so broad spectrum of curing so many things. Or at least managing those things. When you use the pain cream on the surface levels, it literally just opens up all the pain relief. It calms the nerves down. I asked the doctor when I saw him, I said, is it just masking it, or is it curing it? And he said, it's managing pain, and after a period of time, it moves towards allowing the body to cure itself. So I got excited about that, because I'm an advocate for any kind of health situation that you can do that helps the body do what it's supposed to do. I think we have a miraculous system. I like that, if you've got a stomach ache, take ginger rather than a medication that then you're going to have to chase all the side symptoms to it. So that's something that I get excited about with CBDs, and that's also why I tell people, if you're concerned about that, don't take the products that have THC. I don't sell any of the products from marijuana that have the THC in it, because I lost a brother to opiate addiction and alcoholism, and I don't want to start something that begins to down a road that maybe is not a positive one.
So just because we have all the cars and just for coverage, do you want to talk again about especially like using Ben as an example, going from 17 pills down to, or like what, I know Ben's an opportunity, but what CBD could do for somebody who's taking 17 pills
Okay.
a day.
Okay. So when somebody starts taking CBD, you have to understand that when it opens up those cell walls and it allows the passage of nutrients back and forth, it's also anti-inflammatory. And half the diseases, or maybe more than half of the diseases, are caused from inflammation. So anytime you see acid reflux, you see diabetes, you see arthritis, cancer, all of those things start with inflammation that's gone awry. And it has maybe roared its big ugly head, and it is causing now these problems going on in the body. So when you take the CBD and it allows the inflammation to either slow down or to completely wipe it away, I always hate to say that it's an absolute cure, because I think that there's a place for medications, but if we can do it with something like CBD and natural products that way, eating right, exercising regularly, and removing that inflammation and removing diseases because of that inflammation, then I'm all for something like that. You could move from 17 pills to maybe taking one. I mean, I wouldn't have taken away his atrial fibrillation pill that he had, but I would have liked to have seen his metformin go, because it had side effects that was in there. And there's a little bit of everything. He had to take things to keep his blood pressure down, which CBD, obviously, an anti-inflammatory, is going to keep your blood pressure down, along with a healthy lifestyle and moving a little bit more, which we tend to not do as we get older. But yeah, if you can go from 17 pills to 1 or 2, and not only are you saving the money, but you're saving that long list of side effects. Have you ever watched a commercial that says you can take this for this problem, and then it goes on for 30 seconds with all the list of things that you could get from taking the pill? Yeah, I don't think so. I'm not interested in that.
Kind of along those lines, can you kind of talk a little bit about, the reason you're taking 17 pills is because maybe you really need 1 or 2, but then you're taking others that are to treat the side effects of the pills that you've taken for your other,
Right.
It's kind of this chain
Right. Anytime you are taking a medication, there's going to be the side effects that it causes. It could cause weight gain. It can cause water retention, which then is going to raise your blood pressure. There's just that long series of things. If you can lessen those pills down to just the bare minimums of what you need to take, you're also lessening all those side effects. And again, CBD is not a cheap product, and it's not, to my knowledge, covered by everybody's insurance or anything. But then if you're not taking those medications that cause another problem, you can avoid strain on the liver, strain on the kidneys. So now you're chasing kidney disease, which was something I found out taking the antacids I was taking, is that there was bone loss that could happen, there was kidney failure. Dry eye obviously happened to me, and when I first started taking them, I also fought with a little bit of dizziness, not full-blown vertigo, but a little bit of dizziness. When I stopped taking those and using the CBD, all that stuff went away.
Can you talk again a little bit about how the dog kind of came almost back to life?
Yeah.
What she had been.
Okay. Labs are famous for hip issues and knee issues, and the problem is that I've always had several labs. I had a lab before this one, before I rescued her, And they did give me medication for his hip and leg issues. And the vet said that it would make him more comfortable, but it would shorten his lifespan. And so I had about 6 months. Unfortunately, I got 6 weeks with him. It ended up killing his liver and killing him. So I didn't want to. So when I had this lab, I didn't want that to happen again. And so I'm always looking for natural things. I started with glucosamine, which did help a little bit, but I didn't want to. When the vet gave her the pain pills, I didn't want to give it to her, although I wanted her out of pain. I gave it to her for a little while till I found the CBD. Prior to her getting it, the reason that I started her on the pain pills is that she couldn't walk up the steps. She didn't want to walk to the creek, which is her favorite thing to do, to go down and check out the fish and to, get in the water down there. And it felt like her life was being robbed. And I was wrestling with that decision between how long do I let this go on and when do I do the humane thing and put her down. A horrible, horrible decision to be in there because, we are side by side constantly. We're 24/7 together. When I heard about the CBD PAT treats, I thought, what do we have to lose at this point? And started giving it to her. 3 days. She took one pill. I was afraid to give her too much because it was something new. She got 3 pills, so 3 days in a row. By the 3rd day, she's not running or leaping, but she was walking up those steps on her own. And she was getting up on the couch by herself, which we spoil our animals, and we would lift her up onto it. After a short amount of time, I think it was a week to 10 days in there, I actually saw her run across the yard, which we hadn't seen happen for some time. But when she climbed up on the couch on her own without our help, both my husband and I were watching her and said, maybe we need to be taking this CBD stuff because it seemed to be working for her. And I've had her liver tested, and she looks better than she has. It's like having a pup again. Not a 6-month-old pup, but it's like we gained back 3 or 4 years of her life. She now walks to the creek with me. She gets in the water. She goes up and down the steps without any help. I do have a tall bed, and she has little stairs, but she'll climb those stairs on her own now to come and get up on my bed. So as far as I'm concerned, CBD alone is worth it for that, so that I'm going to get much more time with her. At 15 and a half years old, I'm hoping I get a whole nother year.
On that same line, could we revisit kind of the symptoms so when you started taking it, the symptoms you had, and then what happened after you started taking the pill?
Okay. All right. So I'll back up to, like I said, always hearing about the CBD, not wanting to take a THC product. I was not into anything like that. But honestly, when I punched in a boxing situation, dislocated my thumb, my chiropractor had to keep putting it back in place. It wouldn't stay. And it was quite painful. And as a writer, typing, that doesn't feel very good. I got brave enough to, at a street mall, I saw the CBD, lady selling CBD, and she had pain cream. And I thought, okay, I'll bite. And she gave me a little bit. And I tried it on my thumb, and my husband said, well, let's walk by, and if it helps, we'll come back. I didn't get 30 feet before I was totally pain-free. I turned around and went back and said, I want a whole bottle of that. So then she started talking about taking it orally, and I thought, I don't know if I want to do that. And she asked me if I had any pain, like arthritis or anything like that. I said, no, but I fight with acid reflux. So when I told her that I was taking over-the-counter medicine, that if I said its name, everybody would know what I'm talking about, she said, how long have you been taking it? Well, I don't even want to admit how long I have been taking it because I understand things like this a whole lot better than I should, and knew that I'd been taking it far too long. So one of the things that I met with a nutritionist, and one of the things that I started doing was trying to up my digestion and eat better and those kinds of things, dropping weight so that I wouldn't have the acid reflux. But what my main complaint to her was the chronic dry eye that I fought with. And I'm on the computer as a writer 12 hours a day, sometimes. And I absolutely could not stand to work because my eyes were so dry. They hurt me to sleep at night. I was living with eye drops constantly. It wasn't doing any good for me. Hot packs on my eyes trying to help me out. Well, I decided to try the CBD, just to get brave enough to, and I didn't take a huge dose like a lot of people do. I took a very small dose. And within 72 hours, I had no problems with my eyes. They were back to normal. And then all of a sudden I started noticing I was sleeping. I was falling asleep quickly, which was another problem I was having. I fall asleep within 20 minutes now instead of 2.5 hours. And sleeping through the night, 7.5 hours, right in there, which was not happening to me at all. I was waking up in the middle of the night and couldn't get back to sleep. So not only did I solve the acid reflux problems, but the dry eye that I thought was just happening because I was getting older and I was straining it on the computer all the time, but also sleeping as well. And then the pain cream, no problems with my thumb at all. And now I carry it everywhere I go because somebody always says, oh, my knee hurts or my neck hurts, something like that. Rub it on them and they're amazed, just like I am, that it's instant relief.
And then, do you want to talk about the actual company?
Sure.
Throwing your name, like what your goal is as a company.
Okay.
Kind of what your mission statement is.
Okay. So one of the things that I did was I understand how the body works. I'm not a doctor by any means, but I am an admirer of this miraculous, condition that we've been loaned to us, and I love healthy things that keep us at peak performance. So I created the business Optimal Living because I don't think we have to sacrifice that. We need to educate ourselves. So Optimal Living is a site that you can go for information. I love to study. I know somebody asked me, what do you like to read in your leisure time, Pam? Well, I'll read Cancer Cure magazines. I read doctors' journals and stuff just because, as a teacher for 38 years, I taught anatomy and human physiology. And I love to find something small that makes a big difference in the body. So Optimal Living is a website that you can go to for whenever I find information like that, I post it on there. There's a newsletter there that you can get weekly just with whatever it is I find. And I have clients that bring that information to me, and then I go research it, vet it as well as I can, ask doctors their opinions, and end up putting that information available for everyone to see. You can purchase the CBD. Now, the thing about the CBD is that it's everywhere. The problem with that is that not everybody takes the care to create the kind of CBD that we have. The only reason I'm willing to represent it and offer it to other people is that I purchase it from a company that I have seen from seed, actually before seed, all the way to product. There's no pesticides ever used. They actually grow a nitrogen-rich plant that they till into the ground that feeds the hemp, that then when they harvest the hemp, it's taken to a climate-controlled situation for it to dry, which the reason that's valuable is because mold and mildews, which a lot of people have allergies to those things and can cause immune issues in people's bodies. If you don't have a problem, you could have a problem. And so it is pure all the way through. Even our capsules are floated in fractionated coconut oil. So it's an oil the body can use, not like vegetable oil that you're putting in your stomach. Your body goes, what is that? It's actually oil that the body can use, and it's good for it. So when I saw all those things, and I actually sat with the people that from the beginning all the way through the end, I sat in the lab and actually made some of these products myself so I could see the process. That's the difference between what you can buy anywhere versus what you can buy with Optimal Living. Anytime that company begins to change their policies and it's not as perfect and pure and organic, I'll stop using them. But that's not the case right now. They do a beautiful job, and they are committed to organic, pure, and just watching the environment that they are setting it up in. The other thing that I like for optimal living is that I have some products that I have looked at, essential oils that do a great deal of benefit for a lot of people. When I first started working on my digestive system, I got a protein drink that actually is digested very well and gives the enzymes back into your stomach that you need for digesting food. So that's what we're about. We're about organics and bringing to you the products that I would use myself, that I would first try on family members and my own animals, and then I feel comfortable in saying, hey, here's something you can try. But the other element is that there's information to see why maybe you should be doing those things. Can I take a break for a second?
Oh, yeah. Great.
It's super hot out here.
So primarily, and then they also take pictures. Most of the other DSLRs are
Clever.
picture cameras, and then you gotta go through all these menus to do all the video stuff.
And you don't have to carry those honking things.
Yeah. Okay, can you give me another?
Okay.
Perfect. Alright. So we're good to go.
Okay.
So,
So I have one for you.
let's hear this story.
Okay. So one of the reasons that I really like this cream that we make, we have a first aid salve that's got CBD in it, is that first of all, my mother has wrestled with psoriasis and eczema since she said since she was a teenager, 13 years old. And nothing, I mean, we're talking steroid creams, all kinds of expensive creams, all constantly that she's trying to work with, have never done anything with it. I brought one over and said to her, hey Mom, let's try this. Well, my mom's game for a lot of things, and she did. And within 72 hours, I could not believe the difference in her skin. And she almost wanted to cry. She said, I've never had it not be raw and bleeding. I mean, we're talking on her elbows where literally the skin sheds off and it's raw and bleeding and cracked. Same thing with my daughter has had issues with eczema, but it's on the bottoms of her feet, which makes it very difficult for walking. And she said that for her, in 12 hours, it had healed it up. So that in itself is worth all the discovery that I've made just to be able to put them out of pain. My mom also had back surgery. She was here at the house. We have big family Sunday dinners, and she likes to help. She was trying to carry something from the kitchen into the dining room, and having this back surgery, I mean, she looks like she has a zipper down the small of her back. It was hurting her so badly, she said, I have to sit down. If you know my mom, that's not my mom, because she's go, go, go all the time. And I said, well, I've got this pain cream. Do you want to try it? And she said, sure, what's in it? And I said, I'll tell you in a minute. And I rubbed it on that part of her back that was bothering her. And within a few minutes, I watched her carrying heavy casserole dishes from the kitchen into the dining room. And I said, Mom, how's your back? And she said, oh, I forgot. It doesn't even hurt. And then she said, what's in it? And I said, it's CBD pain cream. So that, again, would have been enough for me to be ecstatic over it. But so you take my mom, my daughter, my husband, my son, my dog, and myself. Hey, I got my own test cases going on here.
Great. Just to kind of, we just covered it. Do you want to talk about the optimal living and kind of the mission statement of the company and what the company is all about?
Okay. Optimal living is all about finding natural remedies to replace medications. I'm not saying that we can do it for everything, but there's a lot of them that we can replace. If you can find a natural remedy or an alternative that does the job of a medication, you immediately get rid of all the side effects that you have to fight with taking those medications. I'm excited about that. I'm excited about giving people back their lives, you know, their dogs, their family members themselves, giving them back the energy, the sleep, and maybe reducing the cost of all of the medications that they are taking.
Is there anything else that you want to talk about?
Can't think of anything.
All right, I think I've got.
Oh, well, I know one of the nice things about optimal living is that you can buy this online. If you buy it Monday through Friday, it's 1-day shipping. I get it out to you. If you order on Friday, you're going to have to wait for Monday because I live in a really tiny town and the post office isn't open on the weekends. But yeah, you don't have to go into a pot shop. You can literally push the button, pay for it. It comes to me immediately and I can send it to your door.
So you want to talk a little bit about, I liked how you talked about caring about where the CBD, where all the ingredients and everything comes from. Can you talk about that in terms of getting quality ingredients?
Okay. Our ingredients come from High Country, Oregon, which is not too far from my house here. What I like best about them when I researched it is that everything is a pure source. They, from all the way from prior to seed all the way to the product. So they literally take a high nitrogen plant, turn it into the ground so that they're not using synthetic fertilizers and to feed the hemp plant when they when it's once they've got it down into the ground. Because of that, there's no pesticides, there's no synthetic medications or not medications, but fertilizers and things going on to plants that you could be ingesting. Then once they harvest it, it's in climate controlled situations, which I get excited about because there's no mold, there's no mildews, which are actually the core causes sometimes of allergies and immune suppressants with a lot of people. And then I watched it go from there, watched the chemist, and I actually sat through and made some of the products myself so that I could see everything that was happening.
All right. That's
Yeah.
it.
No.
So, um, basically, you know, if you feel like you want to stop or re-say anything, feel free. I'm going to ask you some questions. I might ask the same question or a similar question. Doesn't mean you gave a bad answer. It might be because, you know, a car went by and I want to make sure you have the coverage. Or sometimes you ask the same question and something new pops in your head and it
Sure.
works really well. So to start, I'm going to have you give me just like a clap, so sync sound.
Oh.
Perfect. All right. Do you want me to follow some of these?
Basically, I just wrote it down so that I
Okay.
kind of had an idea of what I was thinking.
Okay.
So it's up to you.
Let me wait till the...
Yeah, we're right in line with the airport too.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll
And the
get
cars
around
going
it.
by.
So, how did you get into working with CBD oils?
If you look around the garden, this is a memorial garden, and my longtime friendship with Ben, 40 years of friendship, it kind of caused me to take a look at some of the medications he was taking. I used to sit up every Sunday night and have to coordinate 17 different medications for him. And I used to go to the doctor's appointments with him as well. And I found that they'd give him one medication and then they'd have to give him 2 or 3 more to counteract that one. So part of the problem that I saw, oh, the butterfly. Part of the problem that I saw with Ben's medication was that one medication was causing other problems that were going on. And then to have somebody 80 years old take 17 pills a day, I thought was ridiculous. On top of that, he had, being a machinist, he had joint issues, and his hands hurt him so bad and his hips hurt him so bad he could hardly walk. And I saw life being robbed away from him. I tried everything. I'm a research fanatic. I went looking for all kinds of cures and couldn't find anything for it, and they just said, you know, it's just part of getting older. So one of the things that I had heard about was that CBD was a good product to use. Maybe take care of the inflammation, take care of the pain and stuff. But I was of that mindset that CBD was a marijuana product. And I wasn't going to give somebody 80 years old on 17 medications marijuana. That bothered me too much. So what I did was did more research, and of course more people talking to me about it. I went and visited a doctor who used CBD successfully with a lot of his older patients, and I decided, okay, maybe this is a direction we needed to go, because CBD is made from hemp plants. I think I need to start all over. I got myself all wound up.
So I'm going to